probably tell, I don't really feel very well. My voice is kind of Monday and Tuesday, I really like your tutorials on how to do my makeup. It's given me a lot of ideas on how I can improve my makeup skills. Wednesday and Friday, I hope you guys can show up soon. Okay, so this week is to do a tutorial. I had originally planned to do a makeup tutorial, but I didn't know that Monday and Tuesday were going to do one, so I decided to do something different. I'm going to teach you guys how to pierce yourself safely. I'm going to go ahead and point out that I do not recommend you pierce yourself. You can get an infection if you don't sterilize everything. You can hit a blood vessel, a nerve. There's so many things that can go wrong when piercing yourself, so I highly recommend you go to a professional. But I know that a lot of you are going to pierce yourself anyway, so I at least want to give you tips on how to do it somewhat safely. Please do not use a sewing needle or a safety pin. I know a lot of people have piercings that are just fine and they pierce them that way, and good for you. I'm very happy for you. But that is not the way to do it. It can be dangerous. The type of needle that you need to use to pierce yourself is called a hollow needle, and it's for body piercing. They are exactly what they say. They are hollow. There is nothing in the center. They're completely open. They come in a package like this. The specific kind is called Monster Point. And it says, this needle was sterilized with EO gas. Use only if package is undamaged. And then it has the size, the MFG date, and the expiration date, which happens to be August of 2013. It says, when sterilized by EO gas, the color changes to green. I don't know if you can see that little arrow right there, but it is green. If it's not sterilized, it will not be green. I don't know what it'll look like. I've never had an unsterilized needle. This specific needle is a 16 gauge. Needles are measured by a gauge. The smaller the gauge, the bigger the needle. This is a 16 gauge needle, and this is a 14 gauge on top. You can see that there's a pretty noticeable difference in the sizes. The most standard size that I've been pierced with is a 16 gauge, but I've also been pierced with a 14 gauge a couple times as well. There is a little bit more pain associated with a bigger needle as expected, but it's really not that different. So there's still going to be a few things you need. One thing that's really important is going to be alcohol swabs. I use the Rely On alcohol swabs. It says antiseptic for preparation of the skin prior to injection. One of these is one alcohol pad, so I have two right here. I really like this kind. I like the brand. It's just like every other alcohol swab, I guess, but I do really like this brand. This is what you're going to want to clean the area you're about to pierce. You want to do it right before you pierce it so that the germs don't have time to come back or whatever. And another thing that I'm going to highly recommend you use is, don't laugh, lubrication jelly. I use PDI lubricating jelly. This is what it looks like. I really like it. I do recommend it. It has a lot in it. You're really only going to use a tiny little bit. What you're going to want to do with this is to basically coat the tip of the needle with it. There's two ways you can do that. You can, after you have your glove on, you can put just a little bit on there and then take the needle and put it in there and wipe it through, or you can stick it and it'll stay there, but you just have to be really careful because it will fall and you will lose it. If you drop your needle in the floor, do not use it. It is bad. Don't use it. It's got bacteria on it. It's ruined. You need to use a new needle. But anyway, that's the way I've seen professionals do it, and I've done it, and it works pretty well. Another way that I have also done quite a few times is you just open it so that the jelly, and just kind of squeeze it so that the jelly is kind of surfacing a little bit. And then you take the needle and just kind of stick it in there. Lubrication is basically just to help the needle glide through your skin more easily and not rip anything. I have pierced myself without lubrication jelly. There is a noticeable difference. It wasn't terrible without it, but I do prefer to have lubrication jelly. Another thing that you will probably need, depending on the piercing, is going to be a pair of clamps. This specific pair is the only kind that I use right now. It's called a slotted Pennington clamp, and you'll notice the little slots right there. Basically, it's very good to have a slotted clamp because, for example, the piercing is like this. The needle's going to be in here, so you can just kind of slide it around it instead of having to open it and pull it around. I've seen a lot of piercers put the clamp on the piercing site and squeeze really hard. I've never done that. I just get a slightly firm grip, just enough to kind of squeeze the skin together. I don't squeeze my clamps hard at all. I don't know if it's a personal preference type thing or what, but I don't do it. I don't see the point. I just don't get the point. The last thing you're going to need is jewelry to put in it. It depends on what piercing you're doing as to what kind of jewelry you use. There's specific jewelry for just about every piercing you get. If you're going to get a lip piercing or nose piercing, and I'm not talking about the septum piercing when I say this, but you're going to want to get it pierced with a stud, with a straight rod. It's really cool to have a hoop, but when you get pierced with a hoop, it's gonna hurt. Your healing process is going to be a little bit more painful and sore because of how the hole is positioned. Even if you do get pierced with a straight rod, when you first put a hoop in, it's going to be tender for a good while. It took me a very long time to be able to wear this after I got it pierced. It still hurts sometimes, but I've been wearing this hoop for a couple months now, so it's pretty much fine. That's pretty much all the supplies you need that I can think of right now, because I can't stress enough that you really should go to a professional that knows what they are doing. I have pierced myself multiple times. I did both of my septum piercings. I did this piercing. I pierced my belly button in 2 spots. They both rejected. I no longer have them. I will admit that it was not the smartest thing I've ever done. I do regret piercing my belly button. It was painful for me. Okay, so I think I pretty much told you everything that you need to know about piercing yourself if you're going to do it. I think I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys how to stretch your ears safely without using tapers, because tapers aren't necessarily the best thing to use, especially when you're getting into the bigger sizes. So I'm going to show you my method of stretching. Okay, I have a lot of people that ask me what my ears look like without plugs in, so I'll show you my big holes. This is what they look like. They're a little bit red because they're dry. When my ears are dry, I put vitamin E oil on them. I just buy the vitamin E capsules from Walmart and prick a little hole in them and squeeze the gel out and rub it on, and it works amazing. I stretched very fast. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't look into stretching, so I really had no idea how to do it correctly. So I ended up going from a 14 gauge to an 8 gauge, I believe, in a 24-hour period. It was very, very painful, and it's very not good to do your ears that way. You want to go up one size every 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks. You want to wait much longer, but if you're gonna do it fast, 2 weeks at least. Don't wait you need to wait at least 2 weeks. I ended up going from a 14 to a 00 in about, I want to say, less than 2 weeks in both ears. My ears ended up getting they didn't get infected, but they started getting really gross. I'm not gonna go into details. It's really nasty. But, I do not regret stretching my ears one bit. I do not regret stretching my ears fast. I kind of wish I wouldn't have, but I won't say that I regretted it because I love my ear stretches. But, okay, so I'm going to show you the best way that I have found to stretch my ears. One other thing that I want to point out is that when you stretch your ears, it is not called gauging. You do not gauge your ears. Gauge is the size of the jewelry, and that's it. These are plates because they are solid, and these are tunnels because they are hollow, like a little tunnel. This is called plumber's tape. I bought this for $2.99 at Home Depot. I'm sure you could probably get it cheaper somewhere else, but that's just where I got it from because that's where I was when I found it. It just opens like this, and I've used a good bit of it, and I still have a lot left. And my fiance uses it as well, so we can share it. If you just tear it, it's gonna, this kind specifically says non-shredding, I believe, or something like that. But if you just rip it off, it's gonna do like this, and it'll get all shredded, and it's really annoying. So you're gonna want to cut it with scissors or a knife or something. But right now, I'm not going to cut it because I don't care. Okay. This is what my plugs actually look like. I keep this on the back because I had them like this for so long. I just wanted something different. Okay, so basically what you're gonna want to do, and I'll go ahead and point out this does take a little bit longer than stretchy with tapers, but it doesn't hurt anywhere near as bad, and it's much safer. Okay, so what you're gonna want to do is get this tape. Make sure it's all straightened out. You don't want it to be rippled or wrinkled or anything. Alright, it's best to use plugs with flares on them. Mine do have flares on them. They're not really big, but they're flares. Okay, so you're going to want to put this in between the flares. It's kind of annoying and hard to do, but once you get used to it, it's not bad. You're just going to want to roll it along like this. When I started taping, I did 2 layers per day every day. Now I do it about 4 to 6 layers every few days, and it doesn't hurt. One thing I have noticed with this tape is that it's really dry. When you put it in, it can hurt. So you're gonna want to put something on it. I don't recommend Vaseline, but it works because I've used it. I recommend using the vitamin E or jojoba oil. I've never used that, but I've heard it's good. So, alright, and when you get to the point where you have got enough layers, you're just gonna want to break it off. See, it's shredded again, but I don't care. You're just gonna want to flatten it down. It kind of blends in with itself. You might have a little bit around the rim like this. I personally kind of like the look because I don't know, I just like it. So then, when you put it in, you're definitely going to want to put lubrication on it. But I don't have it in here, so I'm not going to put that in right now. Alright, so that's pretty much it. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that you learned something from it. If you have any questions about what I have or have not talked about, just comment. And I hope to see you guys next Thursday. Bye-bye.